All right, the learner ready for today's deep dive. You've given us excerpts from Cinder by Marissa Meyer, and
Oh, this is going to be good.
yeah, I think so too. Like always, our mission is to really dig into this and pull out the most fascinating stuff from these pages.
Help the learner really understand this world and its characters.
Give them a shortcut into the story.
Exactly.
So we're looking at a future Earthright, specifically New Beijing, and from what I've seen, it's facing some pretty major challenges.
Absolutely. There's this devastating plague they're dealing with, letomosis.
Litomosis, right?
And at the same time, they're navigating all these political tensions, especially with the lunar colony.
Yeah, it's a world of like super advanced technology. I mean, we're talking androids everywhere.
Netscreens on every surface.
People getting around in personal hovers. I mean, come on.
But it's not all shiny and futuristic, though, is it?
No, not at all. You've also highlighted some stark social divisions and some very real personal struggles that these characters are facing.
And that's where Cinder comes in.
Right at the center of it all.
A cyborg mechanic living in this bustling market, struggling to make a living.
And facing so much prejudice just for being who she is.
We also catch glimpses of Prince Kai.
Yeah, the royal family is grappling with the emperor's illness.
And this looming threat of Queen Levana from the moon.
There's a lot to unpack here, and I think Cinder's experiences are going to give us a lens to explore some really big themes.
Definitely like identity prejudice.
What it means to live through a pandemic.
And some serious political intrigue.
So, the learner, let's jump right in, shall we? Let's start by getting a feel for this world.
Okay, so you pointed out this really vivid market scene.
Yeah, the heart of New Beijing.
Gosh, such a vibrant hub teeming with people.
Human and robotic all mixed together.
Going about their daily business.
And you can't miss those net screens everywhere.
Flashing ads and news.
Even entertainment. Sensory overload.
But then you pointed out something that I thought was really interesting. These children's rhymes.
About ashes.
It's kind of creepy, isn't it? It definitely hints at some darker history, or maybe a present fear.
Like there's more to this society than meets the eye.
Absolutely.
So where does Cinder fit into all of this?
Well, she's trying to run her own business.
Right there in the middle of the market.
Tucked between all these other vendors.
A full-service mechanic.
I mean, that's got to be tough.
Yeah, especially when you consider the prejudice against cyborgs.
I noticed you highlighted her attempts to, like, mask the smells of her trade.
Almost like she's trying to fit in.
But you get the sense that her neighbors, they're not exactly thrilled to have her there.
It makes you wonder how deep that prejudice runs.
It's going to affect every aspect of her life.
And you know something else that struck me? You mentioned this visual contrast.
Between the bustling market down below.
And that image of the New Beijing palace, way up high.
Like looking down on everything.
So serene and peaceful up there.
It's a powerful visual, isn't it?
A stark reminder of the gap between the haves and have-nots.
That divide between the market and the palace.
It's not just physical, it's social economic.
It represents a whole different way of life.
Now let's talk about Cinder herself.
She's clearly a skilled mechanic.
Running her own business.
Yeah, she's not just scraping by.
But there's this interesting dynamic with her android assistant, Aiko.
They seem really close.
It goes beyond just Aiko being helpful.
It's more like a genuine friendship.
Which I guess makes you think about the potential for AI to become something more than just machines.
Right. Like, can they truly be companions?
And they form real bonds with humans.
Big questions.
And it's kind of ironic that Cinder, a cyborg herself, still needs repairs.
Yeah, like that new mag belt for her hover.
It's a reminder that even in this advanced future, technology isn't perfect.
And cyborgs, they still need upkeep, just like any other machine.
Or human, for that matter.
It's a reality check.
And then there's the family situation.
Oof, talk about a strained relationship.
Cinder's stepmother, Adri.
And the stepsisters, Pearl and Peony.
Their disdain for Cinder is just palpable.
Especially because she's a cyborg.
They see her as less than human.
It's heartbreaking.
Adri even threatens to sell Cinder and Aiko for parts.
It shows how little she values Cinder.
And how vulnerable Cinder's position is in that family.
Even something as simple as needing to repair her hover for the upcoming ball turns into this huge conflict.
Adri is so focused on Pearl's social advancement.
Like the ball is this big opportunity for them.
A chance to climb the social ladder.
Meanwhile, Cinder's just trying to keep her transportation working.
It's like they're living in completely different worlds, even though they're under the same roof.
And speaking of different worlds, we have to talk about letomosis.
Yeah, the blue fever.
But this pandemic hangs over everything.
It's a constant threat.
The fact that they have quarantine set up shows just how serious it is.
And how much fear it generates.
It makes you wonder how this backdrop of a deadly disease shapes everyone's actions,
Their motivations.
everything they do.
And there's this one moment that really stood out to me.
When Pearl suggests using cyborgs for plague testing,
It's chilling,
it shows how fear and prejudice can be so intertwined.
especially during a crisis.
Like people are willing to dehumanize others just to feel safe.
It's a disturbing thought.
Then we see the plague hit close to home when Peony gets sick.
Yeah, and suddenly she's whisked away to quarantine.
It's devastating for Cinder,
You really see the bond between them,
and it highlights just how dangerous this disease is.
how real the threat is.
And Cinder's own fear of the quarantines.
It adds another layer to the story.
It's not just a theoretical threat anymore.
It's something that could happen to her too.
And that's exactly what happens, right?
Yeah, Cinder gets taken for testing after being exposed somehow.
It leads to a huge turning point in the story.
A forced self-discovery, you could say.
She's subjected to all these invasive medical procedures.
And she learns the truth about her enhancements.
How much of her is actually machine?
Way more than she ever realized.
The data is stark.
36.28% not human.
Metal vertebrae, synthetic heart tissue.
Metal splints in her leg.
It forces her to confront what it really means to be a cyborg.
It's a real identity crisis.
And that's when Dr. Erland enters the picture.
He's intrigued by Cinder's unusual reaction to the plague.
Or rather, her lack of reaction.
She seems to be immune.
And he's determined to figure out why.
Do you think his motives are purely scientific?
I don't know, there's something about him.
He's very secretive.
He's got his own theories about her immunity being linked to her being a cyborg.
And it feels like he's operating outside the normal channels.
A bit rogue, maybe.
Their first meeting in the lab is pretty tense.
Cinder's clearly apprehensive.
But she's desperate for information about Peony.
So she agrees to cooperate.
It's a reluctant alliance.
Born out of necessity.
And then there's that interesting detail you pointed out.
When Dr. Erland tells Prince Kai that Cinder is undergoing an adjustment,
He's not exactly being truthful,
it raises questions about his trustworthiness.
and what his real goals might be.
Now let's switch gears a bit and talk about Prince Kai.
Yeah, we first meet him at a very difficult time.
His father, Emperor Riken, is gravely ill.
It creates this power vacuum.
A lot of uncertainty and tension in the Eastern Commonwealth.
It's the perfect opportunity for someone like Queen Levana to make a move.
She swoops in with this offer of an alliance.
Seemingly out of the goodness of her heart.
But Kai and his advisor, Torin,
They're immediately suspicious.
they sense there's more to it.
Like maybe her motives aren't so pure.
There's this underlying tension.
A sense that she might be trying to manipulate the situation to her advantage.
And then we have this whole other element with Kai's interest in Cinder.
It comes out of nowhere.
He asks her to attend the ball.
It's so unexpected.
I mean, they come from completely different worlds.
And Cinder's got her own problems to deal with.
She's even thinking about escaping.
What do you think draws Kai to her?
I wonder if it's her independence.
The fact that she doesn't fit into the usual mold?
Maybe he sees something special in her.
Something genuine.
It definitely adds an element of intrigue.
And then things get even more complicated when the emperor dies.
And Kai becomes the crown prince regent,
The stakes are suddenly so much higher.
especially with Queen Levana on her way.
But even with all this responsibility on his shoulders, Kai doesn't forget about Cinder,
He keeps pursuing that connection,
apologizing for his android's malfunction.
sending her more invitations to the ball.
It seems like he's genuinely interested in her.
Meanwhile, Cinder is focused on saving Peony,
She makes this desperate trip to the Ladimos' quarantine.
armed with a stolen blanket.
It's a heartbreaking scene.
You see the grim reality of the plague.
The desperation of the people trapped there.
That detail about the patient ID chips being removed,
It's dehumanizing.
like they're losing their individuality.
Becoming just another statistic.
And then there's this stark contrast when Cinder starts visiting the Palace Research Wing.
At Dr. Erland's request,
It's a completely different environment.
sterile controlled.
Cinder feels like an imposter there.
But she also knows she might hold the key to understanding the plague.
And when she returns home,
Adri and Pearl's reactions are so predictable.
shock suspicion.
Adri even lashes out.
It just shows how self-centered she is.
No empathy for Cinder at all.
And then out of the blue, we have this supposed antidote from Queen Levana.
Delivered by Prince Kai, no less.
It throws a whole new wrench into the story.
What do you make of that?
I'm not sure.
Is it genuine?
Or is it another one of Levana's manipulations?
Dr. Erland is certainly cautious.
And Cinder wants to use it for Peony right away.
She's clinging to any hope she can find.
Dr. Erland gives her a portion, but with a condition.
She has to stay away from the palace.
That's a risky move.
We also get a glimpse of the world leaders meeting.
where Kai discusses the alliance with Luna,
It reminds us that these events have global implications.
and Queen Camilla's concerns about Levana.
It foreshadows some potentially dangerous consequences.
But tragedy strikes again when Cinder learns that Peony has entered the third stage of litymosis.
It's a devastating blow.
It seems to break her,
She tries to fix an old car to escape,
driven by grief and despair,
and then she finds Aiko.
dismantled by Audrey.
It's a cruel act.
It shows just how heartless Audrey can be.
Cinder has lost everything.
Her sister, her friend.
But life goes on, even in the face of tragedy.
Kai's coronation takes place.
Cinder watches it all unfold on a net screen,
It's a powerful moment.
full of symbolism.
Kai's speech addresses the plague and the uneasy relationship with Luna.
And then Cinder makes a decision that no one expects.
She decides to go to the ball,
Even though she's just lost Peony,
even though she doesn't have anything to wear.
it seems irrational.
Maybe even reckless.
But she's driven by this need to warn Kai about something.
the specifics aren't clear in these excerpts.
But it must be important.
She arrives at the ball in her soiled work clothes.
Her prosthetic foot doesn't even fit properly.
It's a stark contrast to the opulence surrounding her.
It's a statement,
Kai sees her distress and he's sympathetic.
a moment of genuine connection.
But then Queen Levana makes her grand entrance.
And she immediately targets Cinder.
She calls her ashes filth.
It shows her true colors.
Her cruelty, her disdain for anyone she deems beneath her.
And then she drops this bombshell.
That ungifted lunars are carriers of litymosis.
It's a blatant attempt to scapegoat an entire group of people.
To sow fear and division.
But Cinder reacts in a way that no one could have predicted.
Her internal scanner reveals that Levana's beauty is an illusion.
A glamour.
And she says it out loud.
It really is an illusion. You're not beautiful.
It's a moment of defiance.
A challenge to Levana's power.
The consequences are swift and brutal.
Cinder is dragged away.
But Kai is left staring at her discarded prosthetic foot.
It seems like he started to question everything he thought he knew.
Cinder is imprisoned.
And then Dr. Erland visits her cell.
He finally reveals the truth about her identity.
It's the biggest revelation of the whole story.
Cinder is Princess Celine.
The last lunar princess.
Her immunity to glamours isn't a glitch.
It's because she's a shell.
A lunar born without the ability to manipulate minds.
Dr. Erland explains how she was hidden on Earth.
To protect her from Levana.
He even staged that hover accident.
To give her cybernetic enhancements and disguise her true nature.
And then he drops another bombshell.
Lunars are the original carriers of litymosis.
And Cinder's immunity comes from her lunar heritage.
It all starts to make sense.
But Dr. Erland's plan to flee to Africa,
And his warning about Levana's hatred for shells.
it leaves us on a huge cliffhanger.
With so many questions unanswered.
The Learner, you've given us a real deep dive today.
A world filled with technological wonders.
Social complexities.
And thrilling secrets.
We've journeyed from the bustling markets of New Beijing
To the sterile labs of the palace.
and the tense world of political maneuvering.
Cinder's journey is captivating.
She starts as a seemingly ordinary mechanic.
But then we learn about her cybernetic enhancements.
And then this incredible truth about her being a lost princess.
It's a story of resilience.
In the face of prejudice and hardship,
Her loyalty to her sister and her friend.
her unexpected connection with Prince Kai.
It all sets the stage for a conflict that's bigger than any of them could have imagined.
And then we have Queen Levana,
Powerful and manipulative.
the constant threat of the litymosis plague.
The revelation of Cinder's true identity.
It all raises these huge questions about identity.
About power and destiny.
What defines who we are?
How much control do we really have over our own lives?
What will Cinder do now that she knows the truth?
What are Levana's real goals?
What will happen to the fragile peace between Earth and Luna?
It's a story that blends science fiction with classic fairy tale elements.
Making us think about the nature of beauty
The impact of prejudice.
and the courage it takes to embrace your true self.
Thank you, The Learner, for sharing this amazing material with us.
It's a powerful reminder that even in a world of advanced technology and political intrigue,
The most important truths are often hidden just beneath the surface.
waiting to be discovered,
We encourage you to keep exploring this captivating story.
and see where it takes you.
There's so much more to uncover.
And who knows what other secrets you'll find along the way.
Happy reading, The Learner.
Until next time.
Keep diving deep.